you can feel that hotness. During winters, the changes that occurs in the surrounding, that is the increase in the coldness or the decrease in the hotness, that also you can feel. So any changes that occurs in your surrounding or in your internal body is known as stimulus. Stimulus is any change that occurs in your surrounding or also inside your body. Okay, what is response? Whenever we are responding to the stimulus, this is known as response. The same example I am giving. Suppose during summers, when heat or hotness increases, we started sweating. So sweating is our body's response towards hotness. When in winter we feel cold, we started shivering. That is the response against the stimulus. Got it? Or a very simple example I can give you. Whenever a mosquito is biting, you feel a pinching, sensation over your skin. That is the stimulus. Mosquito is an external agent that acts over your body. So a stimulus acts over your body. Okay, an external agent acts over your body, and you in response you just beat that mosquito. That is the response of your hand, which when you feel the sensation of biting a mosquito, you beat that mosquito. So that is the response. Got it? Clear about stimulus and response? Why I am discussing this? Because stimulus, response, effector, receptors, these all are the important terms that are related when we will discuss the human nervous system. Okay, so response is the reaction against the stimulus. What is stimulus? Stimulus is any changes that occurs in our surrounding or it may occur in our body. Suppose we may feel pain in stomach. Okay, so any internal changes occurs inside our body so that it enables us to feel pain. Okay, and we respond to that pain. We can feel that we are having the pain and we can take medicine or any other curable method to cure that pain. So any changes that occurs in our surrounding or in our body is known as stimulus, and we always respond to that stimulus, that is known as response. Okay, receptors are the cells which are present in our body where the stimulus acts. Okay, suppose the example I gave you, biting a mosquito. Here the receptors are the cells of our skin. Okay, our skin cells are the receptors. By the help of the receptors present in our skin cell, we can able to know that mosquito is biting. Okay, so receptors takes the signal, takes the stimulus, and by the help of the receptor only we can able to know that we can able to feel that stimulus. Okay, effectors are the cells which respond to the stimulus. Suppose the same example, our hand, with the help of our hand we will bite the beat the mosquito. So here our hand is the what? Effector. So always the receptors receive the stimulus and effectors act against the stimulus. Again a very simple example I can give you. Whenever you are riding a bicycle, okay, so what happens suddenly if dust came to our eye, so we feel something something that fall inside our eye, that we can feel by the help of the receptor cells of our eyes, and suddenly what we do, we will close our eyes. Okay, this is a very speed actions when just after falling of the dust over our eyes, we will close our eyes. That is that closing of eyes is due to the what? Effectors. Okay, so there are receptor cells in our body and also there are effector cells in our body which takes the stimulus and which act against the stimulus. Okay, but as we know that there are several system, circulatory system, we know that. So all that organ systems, they work in a coordinating manner, means they work in a process so that each organ system helps another and they form a coordinate system. Like that, this taking of stimulus, acting against the stimulus like effectors, receptors, they also works in a coordinate manner. Okay, that is known as coordination. Okay, coordination is working together in a effective manner. As our organ systems, they act or they functions in a coordinate manner. The same, the nervous system in our body also act in a coordinate manner, so that whenever we got any stimulus, suddenly we can react against the stimulus. The example that I gave you, dust that fall on our eyes, suddenly we will close our eyelids. How spontaneous that action is. Okay, these are the coordination. Nervous system is nothing but the coordinating system, or we can say that coordination. Got it? So if we are talking about the coordination, there are two types of coordination we can find in our body. The first one is the nervous coordination and the second one is the chemical coordination. Okay, we will talk about chemical coordination later on. First we will talk about nervous coordination. Okay, nervous coordination means the coordination that takes place in between the nerve cells are known as nervous coordination. As I said, there is a coordination system among the organs of our body. That's why also there is a coordination system in between the organ system, like there is a coordination system in between the digestive system and excretory system. That's why the undigested food particles can be excreted out of our body. So there is a coordination system in between digestion and excretion. The same, whenever there are coordination among the nerve cells or among the nervous system, we call it as nervous coordination. Okay, nervous coordination occurs due to some specialized cells called as neurons or nerve cells. Remember, nerve cells are also known as neurons. Okay, neurons. Okay, neurons are known as the nerve cells, and by the coordination among the neurons forms a system known as nervous system. Okay, all the nerve cells or all the neurons, they work together to form a system known as nervous system. Okay, so what is this neuron? What is this nerve cell? Let us discuss about the structure of a neuron. Okay, already I hope you all know this. Already we have done it in your previous classes, but again let me tell you in details the structure of a nerve cell or the structure of a neuron. Okay, structure of a neuron. Got it? So whenever we are talking about the structure of a neuron, we got two important cells associated with it, cyton and axon. Remember these terms? So I am drawing the structure. Just have a look and listen to all the terms very carefully. Okay? So these are the cyton. Cyton, we can also call it as receptor cells. Okay, we can also call cyton as receptor cells. So this is a cyton. Cyton forms several branches. Okay, so these are the branches of cyton. Got it? So these are the branches of cyton. and cytosol also got a nucleus and cytoplasmic content. Okay, there are cytoplasmic content inside the cytosol, and there is also a nucleus present at the center of a cytosol. Okay, so what is this? This is a cytosol. Okay, and the branching that arises from the cytosol is known as, remember, dendrites. Okay, these are the branches that arises from cytosol, also known as dendrites. Cytosol gives a long extension. Okay, cytosol gives a long extension known as axon. Okay, so this is the axon. Axon may be of 1 meter. It varies, but maximum it can be of 1 meter. Okay, or it may be less than 1 meter also. So this is the axon. Axon is covered by a sheath. Okay, that sheath is known as axon is covered by a sheath known as myelin sheath. Axon is covered by a sheath known as myelin sheath. So this is the axon, and axon is covered by a sheath. You can see this blue color mark, that are the myelin sheath. Okay, what is the work of myelin sheath? Myelin sheath provides insulation to axon. Okay, we will discuss about insulation in the next topic. Okay, so just remember, myelin sheath provides an insulation. See, these, taking of stimulus and acting against the stimulus means whenever we feel the stimulus and we act against the stimulus. As I gave you the example of biting of mosquito or falling of dust on our eyes. So see how fast we are responding to that dust. This impulse is in the form of electrical signal. Okay, as electricity travels in a very fast rate, this transmission of stimulus and acting against the stimulus is in a very fast mode, and due to that fast transmission of stimulus, there may be some electrical conduction takes place among the nerve cells, and these myelin sheath keeps the nerve neutralized. Okay, it provide a neutralized effect, not a negative effect, not a positive effect. Or else we whenever we will get stimulus, means we would have got a electrical signal in our body. Whenever mosquito is biting in your hand, are you finding any electrical impulse in your body? No, due to the myelin sheath. Myelin sheath provide an insulation. The transmission of stimulus is in a very fast rate, but it will not provide a negative or positive effect to the neuron. So it provides a insulation. It provides an insulation to the nerve cell. Details about insulation we will read in some other topic. Okay. So this is the axon and this is the myelin sheath. Axon is the extension of cytosol. Okay. Axon ends forming a branch known as axon terminal. Okay. So these are the axon terminal. You can find some bulb-like structure at the axon terminal. Okay. So these are the axon terminal, or else we can also call it as terminal branches. Okay, we can also synaptic bulb. Synaptic bulb. So after the ending of axon, again there are some cytons. Okay. Again here there are some cytons extends down. Here again there are some cytons. Here is the nucleus of the cyton. Here is the cytoplasmic content. Okay. Here are the dendrites. Okay. Here are the dendrites. And here is again the next axon covered with myelin sheath. Got an idea? So this is one neuron and this is another neuron. Again it has a ending called axon terminal. Okay. So here you can see there is a gap in between the ending of one neuron and starting of another neuron. Can you find here there is a gap in between the ending of one neuron and starting of another neuron. This gap is known as synapse or synaptic cleft. Okay, this gap is known as synapse. Okay, synapse is the gap between the ending of one neuron and starting of another neuron. This is one nerve cell, this is one neuron, and this is another nerve cell, this is another neuron. So the gap in between the two neuron is known as synapse, or we can also call it as synaptic cleft. Okay, so if we will extend, see, these are the synaptic bulbs. Okay, synaptic bulbs are present at the axon terminal. If I will draw an expanded structure of synaptic bulb, then it looks somehow like this. And these synaptic bulbs, they contains some chemicals. Okay, they contains some chemicals known as neurotransmitters. Okay, what they contain? They contain neurotransmitters. Neurotransmitters. So what are neurotransmitters? I will tell you the function of neurotransmitter just after completing the structure. Okay, just let us first discuss about the structure. So this here, the synaptic bulbs, they contain special chemicals known as neurotransmitters. Got it? So again I am repeating the structures. Cyton contains nucleus and cytoplasm. The branching of cyton is known as dendrites. Cyton will extend down to form axon. Okay, axon is covered by a sheath known as myelin sheath. The ending of axon or the branching of axon is known as axon terminal or terminal branches. At the end of the branches, it forms bulb-like structure. You can find I have enlarged the view of what ending of axon terminal. So this forms bulb-like structure known as synaptic bulb. Okay, these are known as synaptic bulb, and synaptic bulb contains some chemicals known as neurotransmitters. Okay, neurotransmitters are the chemicals that are present inside the synaptic bulb. After the ending of the axon terminal, again another neuron arises. This is the cyton. Again it gives rise to axon. Again it will end up with the branches. Got it? Again it will be attached to another cyton. So this is a continuous process. So the gap in between one neuron, and this is the first neuron and this is the second neuron, remember. So the gap in between the first and and the second neuron, or the gap in between the ending of one neuron and the starting of another neuron is known as synapse or synaptic cleft. Okay, it is known as synapse or synaptic cleft. Okay, the gap in between one neuron and the another neuron, the immediate junction, we can say the junction between one neuron and another neuron is known as synapse or synaptic cleft. Okay, so these are the structures which are involved in the neuron. Okay, this is a neuron. Okay, this is a full structure of neuron. This is another neuron. Okay, so now let me tell you the work of neurotransmitters. Let us discuss the function of cytosol. Let us start from the cytosol. So what is the work of cytosol? As I said, cytosol acts as receptor, means whenever any external stimulus act in our body. Suppose take an example of biting of mosquito. Okay, the biting of mosquito stimulus is taken. Whenever mosquito will bite on our hand, we will feel a sensation. So that stimulus, that biting of mosquito is taken by cytosol. Okay, cytosol will receive the stimulus, that the changes that occurs around our surrounding. Okay, falling of dust in our eyes or a feeling of cold, that feel is taken by the receptor cells, and receptor cells are nothing but the cytosls. Okay, so cytosol will receive the what stimulus. It will pass that stimulus. After receiving the stimulus, it will receive the stimulus and then it will pass on to the axon. Okay, that will again transmit to the axon terminal, and here the neurotransmitters transmits the impulse or transmit the stimulus to the next neuron, and this neuron again transmits the impulse to another neuron, and like this the stimulus or the impulse, okay, the traveling of stimulus. Here we got the stimulus. This stimulus travels from one nerve cell to another nerve cell, that is known as impulse. What? Nerve impulse, remember. And nerve impulse travels in a very fast rate, that's why it is known as in an electrical signal. Okay, nerve impulse is nothing but the electrical signal. So it travels from one neuron to another neuron, and at the end it will reach to the central nervous system, or we can say to the brain or spinal. Okay, then our brain will command our hand to beat that mosquito. That is due to the effector cells. Okay, brain will command the mosquito, our hand to beat the mosquito. Okay, so how fast the conduction is? As I said, there is a coordination among the neuron. So can you find the coordination? This is the first neuron. It will send the stimuli, or it will send the impulse to the second neuron by the help of neurotransmitters. Second neuron will send it to the third will send it to the fourth. So there is a coordination among the neurons. Okay, there is a coordination among the nerve cell, and at the end the stimulus or the impulse will reach to our brain, and our brain will command to act against the impulse or act against the stimulus. Okay, so this is a coordination among the nerve cell, which is known as nervous coordination. Okay, this is only the nervous coordination, which is nothing but the coordination among the nerve cells or among the neurons. Okay, so this structure of neuron is very much familiar to you in your previous classes also. I think you have done this. Okay, so this is all about the structures. Okay, again one more thing I am saying, the gap in between the myelin sheath. Okay, so this is known as, see, from where one myelin sheath ends and another myelin sheath starts. Okay, the gap in between is known as node of Ranvier. between the myelin sheath is known as node of Ranvier, and these are known as internodes. Okay, these are known as, this is a internode, this is a internode. Okay, and these are the node of Ranvier. These are the space in between are known as node of Ranvier. Okay, so all the terms I hope you are well acquainted. Cyton, dendrites, axon, myelin sheath, node of Ranvier, internode, axon, terminal, synaptic bulb, synapse or synaptic cleft also we can say, and the next immediate cyton. Okay, and there are neurotransmitters. This is a chemical which is present inside the synaptic bulb, which helps in transmitting or which helps in transferring the impulse from one neuron to another neuron. Got it? You will get an exam. What is the function of neurotransmitter? Neurotransmitters helps in passing the electrical impulse from one neuron to the next, just next neuron. Okay, like this the electrical impulse will pass on up to our brain, and our brain will command our body to respond against the stimulus. Okay, so this is all about the nervous coordination. Got it? So what is chemical coordination? Chemical coordination is nothing but the chemical changes that occurs inside our body. Okay, any chemical changes like the effect of hormones. Okay, as you know, there are so many glands present in our body, and that glands helps in secretion of several hormones, and that hormones, when they will act in a coordinated manner, we call it as what? Chemical coordination. Got it? So nervous coordination is very much essential for our body as well as the chemical coordination. We will not talk in details about chemical coordination. We will have it in some other chapter. Okay. So nervous coordination is very essential for our body. I can give you a very short example. Whenever you feel hungry, so what happened? So here, see, in this example, a series of coordination takes place. A series of nervous coordination takes place in our body. Whenever you feel hungry, you want to eat. You will see the food, that is a visual sensation that occurs by the cells of your eyes. Okay, your eyes, when you see a food, means at first, after seeing, without seeing where the food is, you cannot eat that. At first you have to see. Okay, so that is the first stimulus, the visual sensation. Okay, so here the first sensation acts on our eyes. Then the receptors of our eyes will take the stimulus that yes, here is the food and I have to take it. The impulse or the stimulus will travel from the neurons of our eyes up to brain, and brain will command our hand to take the food. Again it will command our fingers to hold the food, and our hand will come near our mouth and we will keep the food inside our mouth. Brain will also command our mouth to chew that food and to engulf that food. Then several, other things occurs inside our body. We call it as digestion. So in our day-to-day life, we all are associated with the nervous coordination. I gave you only a single example. There are also so many examples you can find. There are so many things associated to our body which cannot be done without the nervous coordination. You might have observed the physically or the mentally retarded persons, means those who are not mentally well. They do not have a proper nervous coordination. That's why they cannot react properly. Okay, they respond to a stimulus very lately. Okay, so in a healthy, whenever we are talking about a healthy mind, means the coordination or the nervous coordination should be in a fast mode. Okay, so this is all about nervous coordination. Next, more details we will have in the next topic. Let us talk about the function of nervous system. What is the function of nervous system? Keeps us informed. Nervous system keeps us informed. Just now I gave you the example. So many things occur in our day-to-day life Due to the nervous system only, the biting of mosquito can be felt, or we can sense it, we can feel it by the help of nervous system only. Okay, so nervous system keeps us informed there is cold in our external environment. We can feel it by our nervous system. There is heat or there is hot in our external environment. We can feel it by the nervous system. So it keeps us informed. It helps us to remember, think and reason. Okay, our brain, whenever we will take a stimulus, our brain will enable us to think, to reason. Okay, we will find the reason behind it. Okay, and we will find also the solution for that. Okay, regular voluntary and involuntary activities. What are the voluntary activities? Voluntary activities are the activities which are under our control. Means moving of the muscles of hand, leg, these are under our control. So these are the voluntary activities that can be controlled by nervous system. It also regulates the involuntary activities like breathing, okay, formation of heartbeat. Formation of heartbeat, it takes place without our will. If we want to stop our breath, then we cannot. We can stop it for a while, then again we will find suffocation. Okay, so nervous system regulates the voluntary and the involuntary activities also. Got it? The last topic for today's class is classification of neuron. We can classify neuron into three categories. Okay, so what are the three categories of neurons? Sensory neurons, motor neurons and interneurons. I can write here sensory neurons, motor neurons and interneurons. Listen to it carefully. Sensory neurons means the neurons which are present in our sense organs. Okay, like eyes, nose, tongue, okay, and ear and skin. Okay, the neurons which are present in our sense organ, they are known as sensory neurons. Means by the help of sensory neuron, we can able to detect the stimulus. Okay, and skin is the largest sensory neuron. Okay, by the help of the sensory neuron only, we can also say the sensory neuron as receptors. Okay, sensory neurons receives the signals or receives the stimulus that or receives the changes that occurs in our external environment. Motor neuron. So what is the work of sensory neuron? Sensory neuron will receive the signal or receive the stimulus and it will send it to the brain. Okay. Then what is motor neuron? Motor neurons are the neurons which arises from brain. Okay. It will connect brain to the muscles of our hand, to the muscles of our legs. So what happened? After receiving the stimulus, after receiving the signal from the sensory neuron, brain will command the motor neurons to act against the stimulus. Means biting of mosquito can be felt by the help of the sensory neurons or by the help of the sense organ, that is the skin. So the sensory neurons present in our skin will transmit it up to our brain. Then our brain will send the command by the help of the motor neuron to the muscles of our hand to beat that mosquito. Okay. Interneurons are the combination of sensory neuron and motor neuron. We can also call it as mixed neuron. Okay. So interneurons are the neurons which are formed by the combination of sensory and motor neuron which are present in the central nervous system like in brain and spinal cord. We will discuss after in the next class. We will discuss about the types of nervous system. Central nervous system, peripheral nervous system, autonomic nervous system. We will discuss that. So interneurons are also known as mixed neuron, which contains both the sensory neuron and motor neuron with it. And whenever we are talking about sensory, motor and interneuron, they also act in a coordination manner. Okay, there is a coordination among the sensory neuron, motor neuron and interneuron. So there are some pairs of neurons that arises from brain and arises from spinal cord. So there are okay, about brain and spinal cord we will talk in the next class. I am not going in that topic. In the next class we will discuss about, in the next video we will discuss about brain and spinal cord. Okay, now for now just remember, sensory neurons are the neurons which takes the impulse, motor neurons are the neurons which act against the impulse, and interneurons are the neurons which are formed by the combination of sensory neuron and motor neuron. Okay, so this is all about the classification of neuron. Then what is nerve? Nerve is the combination of axon. Number of axons combined in a place to form nerve. Okay, number of axons they combinedly they form a nerve. Okay, bundle of axons combinedly they form nerve. Okay, so there are some pair of nerves that arises from brain and also from the spinal cord. So nerves are also of three types, as neurons are of three types. Nerves can be also of three types. What? Sensory nerve, motor nerve, and internerves or mixed nerves. Sensory nerves are the nerves which are associated with the sensory neuron. Sensory neuron means in the sense organ. Okay, in the sense organ, whichever nerves are present, that are known as sensory nerves. In the motor nerves, whichever nerves are present, that are known as motor nerves in the motor neuron. And in the interneuron, whichever nerves are present, we call it as mixed nerves. Okay, so details about this we will discuss. I am not going in so much details. Just remember the overview of the topic, and do not forget to practice this structure of neuron. Okay, so this is all about our today's topic. In our next class we will discuss about the central nervous system, and again some more details we will discuss. Do not forget to revise this topic. This is a very important chapter and we will learn so many things in this chapter. Okay, again you go through your book. If you got again any more doubt, you can ask me. Okay, and do not keep any doubt in your mind. And in the next class we will go in more details of the topic, that is about brain and spinal cord. We will discuss about the sense organs also. Okay, so this is all about our today's topic. In the next class we will move on to a new, more important and very interesting topic. Till then, just keep revising. If any doubt, keep asking the doubts.